Hello, designers, and welcome to Adobe Live, Day 2 with Sarah. I'm your host, Julian Crespo. How's it going? Day 2 is going to be continuing what we did left off from yesterday. I can't wait to get into it. Hello to everybody that is in the chat. I can't wait to see some of your names and know where you're calling from or dialing in from or whatever it is, chatting from. But before we get into that, let's take a quick look at today's schedule and see what we have coming up. So we started the day with Julia, designing product mockups, Photoshop daily with Voodoo Val, just always doing great things there. Drawing and painting with Kevin, illustrations with Andrew. We just wrapped that up. And so us, obviously, for the next 2 hours is what we're going to be doing is designing mobile apps. And after this, be sure to stay tuned for the XD Daily Creative Challenge with Peter Del Tondo. He's going to be introducing you to a new challenge that's focusing on component states. And you can find all the details above in the chat. So if you're joining us from YouTube and you can't see the chat, come on over to Behance, sign in, and that way you can be part of the conversation and ask questions and be part of this. It's going to be really fun. And also just to remind you, in an hour and a half, we're going to be doing the Daily Creative Challenge review. So Sarah and I will take a look at anything that's been submitted from yesterday or days prior. So if you have stuff that you want feedback on, be sure to submit it and get it in there so we can take a look at it on Discord. So if you want to check out the projects that are available, it's in Discord. You can also find that in the challenges. So without further ado, let's jump into kind of what we've been working on for the past couple of days. And everybody in the chat, they're going to be coming in. We got Elizabeth, we got Voodoo is in the house, Jacqueline, Andreas. So many really good people already showing up in the chat. We'd love to know where you're coming in from, though. Let us know. So how's it going? What's up, day 2? What we got planned for today?
Yeah, this is exciting. Welcome back, everybody. My name is Sarah. And for anybody that's joining in new, I'm Sarah. I'm a designer, dog mom, plant enthusiast, and science nerd. I'm based in the South Bay in the San Carlos area, and you can find me on all my social platforms at _SarahGear_. So this will be the best way to find me, chat with me outside of this, and let's keep in contact. So yesterday, what we ended up starting to do is building a mobile application for a plant app. So like I said, I'm a plant enthusiast, so I felt like it was natural. I got my plant friends behind me, I got my plant shirt, and we're ready to go. So a little recap. We're building a mobile tool for plant parents that want to allow time for them to kind of track and maintain their plants, and kind of utilizing any sort of data that they can to maintain plant health. We looked at some current apps and stuff that kind of do this. There's this one from North where you kind of put the gadget in the soil, kind of going for what we want, but we noticed that the app was kind of lacking in some areas. So we're hoping to go ahead and make that a better experience while intertwining some of the experience from the app called Planta, that's kind of like an inventory and reminder to take care of your plants, and take photographs of them. We can jump into that.
Yeah, and people
on what we did.
The research part is something that people are really enjoying, because being able to see, how you've got to these decisions is important.
Yeah, for sure. And so jumping into that, a big part of it is just kind of the mood board that we were going with. I tweaked some of the images so that we can play with the color palette a little bit more. So we're kind of going for this like boho tranquil vibe with the app, just to kind of match, that feeling that you get when that plants give you.
Yeah. I'm getting like very like boho minimalism vibes, right?
Yeah,
Nice.
definitely. And then I added a slide here, and I'll show it at the end once we add some more resources that we were talking about yesterday. For some colors, a fun one was coolers, along with like the Adobe color wheel. Since we'll be building for iOS today, I shared like a little cheat sheet that kind of gives like a summary of what the guidelines are from Apple, and then also the design system repo that gives you a whole library of open source design systems from companies from all over, big and small.
That's great. Yeah, people
So
are really loving the resources. Those are just gold mines right there.
Yeah, for sure. And then I'm sure we'll talk about more today. I'll add them to the list and reshare them again, at the end of the show. And if you can't catch them, like I said, at @SarahGear_ on all my socials, you can reach out to me. I'm happy to share them. So what we started doing yesterday was kind of building out the foundation for what the style guide and style design system would be. And that was actually something I wanted to touch on that I saw from like the comments yesterday about like, this is feeling more like a style guide, not a design system. Correct. It definitely is. But one thing to note is a design system is a system. There's a bunch of pieces that are part of it, and a style guide is one of those pieces that help us start with a foundation on like what the brand is like, and it's kind of like a little nugget that helps us as a designer to start being creative with what we can work with.
Right.
So here I found this really cool vector art from Sinai 4KA on Adobe Stock that they created. Nice. That I felt was really on par with the vibe of the app that we're making. And we still need an app name, everyone. So keep bringing them on, throughout the show today so that we can include it here and like tie a nice little bow on it.
Yeah, we got a few. I'll remind you of them in a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. And then what I did, I kind of made these like stylized sheets for what this looks like with little headers. This is, for instance, once we start getting it more into the iconography, we could start adding them here. The same thing with photography and images, we'd start adding that here. And then especially if this was to scale and expand, you're gonna have some like rules behind what an image should look like if that's being used. For the colors, I cleaned it up a little bit. I added a couple more colors just to bring a little bit more diversity to it, along with like some like compatible ones that might work. So these are the new colors we're playing with. I added them here on the side to the color styles, gave them names so you can quickly like pick up on what they are without just looking at the hex code. So this is where we're at with colors. For typography, we went with we went with like a serif and a sans serif font, where the serif was kind of more like an editorial feel with Moret, and Europa for our sans serif that would be used more regularly throughout the application. I usually like using a sans serif just because from a readability standpoint on a screen, it's a lot easier to see. And then this Moret is going to be like a nice touch for like personality, for like headers and like bigger pieces. From there, I created the type styles section, started really minimal just to see where we're at. As we continue to build, we'll always add more. Just a reminder, it's a living document. We could always edit. We could always add more to it. It's not final one and done. It never is. It's constantly like evolving. So I started it out with our H1, H2, and like different ones. I went with this kind of layout. For me, again, this is a personal preference. I feel like it's easier to kind of skim through and adding like specific components that, you might edit for each typeface, specifically within like the line spacing and tracking, including use cases, so you can start tracking when certain styles are being used and when is not the case, right, in case we decide to go with an upper or lower. And then color for me is a really cool one that we could use to kind of quickly decipher from an accessibility standpoint which colors should be used for the specific fonts throughout.
Nice.
And then lastly, we started creating components, started going into buttons with primary. Again, we're focusing on mobile. So the different states are going to be usually your default, a press state, and an active. I included like an icon one from like if we need to put an icon on the left or the right. And then we're going to build today like one for an icon only, and then kind of mimic this down for these secondary and text link ones.
Cool.
And then finally, we'll be working on a few forms. And then after that, we're going to be jumping into creating some screens.
Nice. Yeah. So yeah, the visual representation of your system is like what your style guide, like the system is kind of already embedded into the tool now. So you have all your things that are kind of componentized and whatnot. And then for us, we have a visual representation of it which is the style guide essentially, right?
Yeah,
Nice.
Exactly.
And there was a question, Michael Flynn, how do I record art in Artflow? I'm actually not really sure what that question is in regards to, so maybe rephrase it, but I would love to answer that. Another app idea from Jacqueline is the Clean Leaf. So we got some more names coming in. So
okay,
we got Flora, we got what is it, Plantasia, chlorophylling. So we got some plantling. That's another one.
Yeah.
We got some things for you to simmer.
Awesome. Yeah. So just keep brainstorming. We can choose one at the end of the show. Like I said, just to, wrap a little bow on the whole thing as well. So let's keep it coming and let's jump in. Like I said, I've already started componentizing some of our buttons. What you could see is here's our primary one. And then right within the component panel here, you could easily just create the different states. So this first one's going to be our main component, and these are different instances of that. Only reason I have it here visually is just so you could see it. But once we go into the actual asset panel for components, you'll see that basically, it's only one for each one of these, because the different states are within the one component instead of having 3 different ones in your library.
Yeah, and for those that are going to be watching and staying tuned for the Creative Challenge, this is a primer on what Peter's going to be teaching you is component states, which is a very powerful function of a button, because there's many states to a button.
Exactly. So what we'll do here is we can go ahead and start, I'll just usually just drag and drop here for the different instances. And then in this main one, don't know what happened there. Got stuck. This main one, I'll go ahead, push the plus. I'll enter a new state. I want this to be my pressed. And what I will then go ahead and go deeper into, I'll go with this darker teal for our press state. And then easily I could switch over. And then here, since this is going to be the area, I just go boop, and it's pressed. It looks like a pressed state, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, and it's a subtle, right? It's a subtle change, right?
Exactly. And we'll do one more for an active. And that one, what I ended up doing was just going with a gray background. So that would be in our active state, and we can change that here and done.
Boom.
Super, super easy. It's literally just creating one component versus three of them and just changing it within that original one.
Nice.
So what I will do here to create the icon only one, I'm just gonna ungroup this component so I can, efficiency's sake, instead of making it from scratch, I'm just going to remove that group, remove the text here. Since we're only gonna be doing icon, we'll go ahead, do that. And so like I was mentioning yesterday, I'm super big on naming everything.
Right.
So you'll notice too the way that I named my components. It might be just like an older way of doing it. I promise I'm not that old, but like this is just how I've like, out of habit, I like to kind of create buckets. Yeah. So for instance, these are obviously all buttons. And then it's like a primary. And then it's just like an icon. So like it's not anything specific. And then I'll just go ahead and create that component as the default state.
Right. And the benefit of that, right, is when you hand off, if you were to hand off to a developer, these are all kind of in buckets in different folders sorted out for them.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
The slash like sorts it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It's a good old trick. And age is relative. It's a state of mind. Digital synopsis. I don't know what that is. Someone posted some link. So yeah, if you have any questions for Sarah, please shoot some ideas of plant names, any questions you have about being a freelance designer, a dog person, a plant person, any of those things. We'd love to just interact with you guys.
Yes, please. And then also I'd love to hear some of like your favorite plants, because this is going to come handy for when we start building one of the screens. I want us to build together a like plant library. So like if you were to keep track of your plants and like, or trying like to search something.
Yeah.
Just start throwing some of your favorite plants, and we'll start like keeping note of that so that we'll have some ideas of like images that we can use.
Yeah. Plant, we need your plant data. We need it in so we can have it in our mockups. And do you think using the like scientific names of plants or using like the nickname? What do you think, approachability wise?
So I've seen on a lot of these apps where you use both, mainly because like a lot of plants, like Monstera is like a really good one. Like there's a lot of like different kinds of Monsteras. Right. So like you'll have like the Adenosai, Deliciosa is the one that everyone really knows. So let's just go with the ones everyone knows, and like we can figure out like what their scientific name is, or we can just make up a scientific name for these purposes. And
I'll do some Googling if I need to for you.
Yeah. Because I know some of them are like a mouthful as well, so no pressure. And then I would just like repeat this for, the secondary one as well. And just moving on from there. Nice. For time's sake, because I really want us to jump into screen creation. Right. I'm not going to go through this. While we're making the screens, I'll probably just,
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah.
But just so you know, like this is how it's done. This is usually how I'll organize, the page. Just like if you're looking at this really quickly, like you can easily, with a quick glimpse, understand like what's going on.
Right. No, that's
and that's the purpose of this.
Yeah. So we have some. So succulents is a request to have. So people love succulents. The peace rose, love the peace rose. We preferring some nicknames. People like the nicknames.
Okay.
Jacqueline said her mom would love this app. I think so many plant moms would just love this. Like there are a lot of ideas out there, but like the one that you're kind of proposing is a little different. Cilantro plants would be great to monitor. Yeah, I love cilantro.
Yeah, I love cilantro too. I feel like
people think it tastes like soap, not me.
My husband thinks it tastes like soap. And we did one of those 23andMe's where like they'll tell you like if you're more receptive genetically.
Yeah.
And it's like a real thing.
Oh, it is a real thing. Totally.
Mm-hmm. And usually when I cook, I have to put it on the side because like I love cilantro and he doesn't. Especially like when I'm making like a Colombian soup, ajiaco. Like I love to throw a lot of cilantro on that.
You said, what soup is that?
Ajiaco.
Ajiaco. What about sancocho?
Ooh, sancocho is good too.
Yeah. Soup people.
Yes.
We should do a soup app next time.
Yeah, there we go. We can collaborate on that and use like the feature here on XD.
Yeah, there's a lot of ideas. People have a lot of ideas about like, you know, category for categorizing your types of plants by food types, by, you know, maybe herbs is a different kind of category that you can have. So yeah, there's tons of ideas people have out here.
Oh,
Thanks for these ideas.
For real. Let's see. So I'm here just kind of editing the form fields. I'm gonna stick to just making one form field for purposes of today, because I think we'll probably just need one. We'll do like a quick sign up flow just to show how the form field would appear.
Cool.
So usually, you know, you'll always, again, I think you had mentioned yesterday, Julian, like the way it looks is kind of, because you'll see some where it's just kind of like an underline,
right,
or like if it's boxed and all of these things. There's so many ways to do it. I'm doing like, you know, the true and tried way to do it, the box and everything, nothing special. Yeah. So we'll have like our title. You know, sometimes like I've even seen like where we can go this route where we'll use like a small text for like instructions if needed. Well too. And let's like make that a little, nope. There we go. And then, you know, obviously you'll always have like your placeholder text as well. Then there's like an error message that would go down here.
Yeah, and there was a question about the error message and what that would be for.
Yeah, so like let's say this field is for like enter your email, and in the back end when you code it, like there might be some rules and limitations that if there is no at, you know, whatever server it is, it would give back to the user saying that like, it's not an email, you need to re-enter it. So error message would show up here. And then this is where like copy becomes important, because you don't want your copy to just be like error.
Right.
That's annoying. Like how many times have you seen it, you know, apps and stuff that say just error, and you're like, what's the error? Like, what did I do wrong? So you want to make sure you have some really good copy that's explaining exactly, you know, what is the error. So error could be incomplete email or something like that.
Yeah.
So you want it short and sweet, but also explicit as to like what the issue is.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Thank you for asking that too, because you know, it is something that as just generally like people, we do see these patterns out there on all types of interfaces when we're you know, working with the DMV, whoever it might be, and sometimes that error message just like pops up because we forget to, you know, enter the at sign or something. So
even like I fat finger sometimes, especially on a phone, and I like will enter the wrong thing. So it happens.
And then some places in their form fields, they don't put that things are required fields, even though they are required fields, and then you skip it, and then it gives you an error. So things like that, right, are kind of what we're preventing with these design patterns ahead of time.
Exactly.
I'm looking at.
Let's go with...
And Gokhan, it's a final design. No, right now we're not in final design yet. We're kind of Sarah's kind of preliminarily designing these components that she's then gonna like puzzle together in her final experience. So we haven't gotten to screens. We're gonna get into screens very soon. This is the precursor to that. So that way we can just like, she can jam on the screens with all these components ready to go. So it's gonna be really great.
So I just wanted to add like a small icon here, mainly because again, like from an accessibility standpoint, like maybe you never know, like somebody might be able to see this. So using icons that are like well-known to users is important here, so that it's like familiar in case like the color isn't enough.
Right. And there's a question, and I can take this question on. Do you have any pointers for how to research leads to what affordances you can use when designing the app's input fields? So yeah, in case people might not know what affordances are and what signifiers versus affordances are. This is like an interaction design like debate, like what is what, which one is an affordance, which one's a signifier. Your affordances are going to be the ways that you kind of look at a field and you know what to do with it, and it affords to be clicked. Is it default? Is it an active state? For my best advice where to look for that type of research, it would be the interaction. It's interaction-design.org, and if you just kind of Google that, interaction-design.org, and to look into affordances, there's a breakdown of like the affordances, and affordance rules apply to all types of components, so not necessarily just fields, but all kinds of different interactions and different patterns. So highly recommend that. If you are interested, just kind of do a Google search for interactiondesign.org, and there's all kinds of really great principles to kind of carry you through your learning process, especially if you are new to interaction design or UX design. So yeah, interaction design, if you're not sure what interaction design is, it is basically a combination of UX and UI. So it's understanding the principles of interaction with user experience, and then the ability to have a user interface to support your experiments. It's cool stuff, which is why we love XD, right? Because it's an experienced designer. It's doing everything for you.
Awesome. So I say we just jump into some screen creation. So like I said, we're trying to go for like this whole like boho vibe-ish thing. I'm gonna just make a make a copy of the clipboard, and my technology is glitching on me.
And if everybody's just joining us, anybody's just joining us today, I'm here with Sarah Gear. We are designing a plant growing app. So if you have any questions about process and how someone in in a product design field that is working for herself, freelancing, what do you need to get into freelance design? This is the best person to ask. And if you have any other suggestions as far as like what kind of names we can name this plant growing app, we would love those recommendations too. And as well, like we would like to know where you're joining us from, because I'm in San Francisco. We're both in the same state. I'd probably get to you in 50 minutes? I'm not too far from you.
With traffic.
Yeah, which is even in the middle of the pandemic, somehow there's still traffic.
Yeah.
Because California's like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and just start building. Let's do like a welcome screen. And I, brought a copy over like of the mood board here, just so I can continue to see like, what the inspiration for the app is. Mm-hmm. So I started with just kind of making the background this like off-white feel to just kind of get that little bit, I guess you could say like that vintagey vibe. So I started with that as a base. And then a lot of it, so typically I would like to sketch. So it's like, I'll kind of like draw some things of like where my head's at. But since we're doing this on the fly, I'm just going to like start throwing things at this. And once it feels good, like we're going to go with it.
See what sticks, right?
Exactly. So like, I'm looking at these two images and I'm kind of liking that, like, like abstract, like curvature here. Same thing over here. It adds a little bit of dimension. So like maybe we can like do something similar to that.
That's
I'm
great.
gonna just use like the pen tool and like see what happens.
And Paloma from San Antonio is saying he loves the mood board. My bad. And I'm actually moving to Austin pretty soon, so I'll be close to you. Jacqueline from Chicago. We got Sumaya from Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Awesome. Fayetteville, Arkansas.
Oh, I have family in Jeddah, so.
Look at that.
Hello.
It's global. We got Maliha from Dallas, Texas. Juris from Latvia. We got people coming from everywhere to hang out with us. This is amazing.
Yes, I love it.
And Jura says plant growing apps is exactly what they need right now, because lately the plants aren't growing well. And that's some of the tricky thing about plants is you keep doing your thing. I'm just going to keep chatting about
Yeah.
like my care for plants is like the same way. Like sometimes I'm watering, they're in the sun, and somehow they're still kind of not flourishing, or they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, which I don't know what that is either. But that's the thing, is like, is the soil right? Is it maybe the humidity isn't right for that plant? Maybe it's in the wrong room. Maybe there's too much competition with other plants in the room. Maybe there's your animals are not good for them. I don't know. There's all kinds of things that could be happening with your plants, why they're not growing. So this app is kind of the vision of this app is just like kind of how to address those issues that we just kind of sometimes don't know. And we all want the cool benefits of plants, but sometimes it's really hard to take care of. Like I've met so many people that are just like super scared to own a plant, and it's like, what's the worst thing? Like it dies. Like, don't feel bad. It's okay.
Oh my gosh, you said that and I started thinking of that TikTok. Don't feel bad, go buy a plant. Don't feel bad, go buy a plant.
But if your plant dies, how bad might that make you feel? Like, it's like compounded. We got Robson from Sao Paulo, Brazil. Look at this, going everywhere.
I love it.
Istanbul, Alberta, Canada.
Do we have anybody from like Egypt or Colombia? I'm half Egyptian, half Colombian, so represent.
Represent. And so Panama and Colombia were very pretty much like the same. We're neighbors. Yeah, we're neighbors.
Yes. So, anytime when I traveled to Colombia, like we stopped at like the Panama airport from like from US to Colombia. That's always a good stop.
And do you drive?
No.
I was gonna say that's a long drive.
No, it's like the connecting flight is always like from Panama.
That's a long
drive.
Then
like for anyone wondering, like I'm literally just trying to create this like blobby looking thing using the pen tool until like I feel like it's right. Just so that you know what I'm doing here.
No, that's great. Thank you for sharing that. Because that's like using the pen tool is obviously it's the classic tool that we've carried through from Illustrator, and it's vector. It does all kinds of cool things. And what's great about doing these shapes like on your own is you have full control. And if you wanted to do like animation states, you could easily kind of manipulate that shape in the next screen, and it could do some really cool things. So yeah, totally. Oh, plastic plants. We don't want plastic plants. I mean, sure. They make you feel good too, I guess. Voodoo Val is I know grandma got sick with her tired of watering your plants. Oh man, I feel that. I feel that really like it's hard. You got to remember, and this is my other struggle too. Like my wife and I, we split duties with watering plants, and sometimes like then my daughter gets involved. The next thing you know, like our plants are just flooded because like everyone's over watering them. It's like too much love, and it's like, then that's not good either. I got another Julian in the chat. I'm Julian. What's up? We got Mohammed from Pakistan. Sarah from Colombian in NYC. There you go.
Oh, nice.
And her name's Sarah. So
I know. Wait, is it with an H or without an H?
It's with an H.
Okay.
You're like, yeah, we don't want the non-H's here.
No, all are welcome.
All are welcome. We're inclusive here.
Yes.
So this is like kind of like the splash page, right? Like when you first get to it, like some eye-catching, eye candy, draw you in. We always need that.
And then I'm going to put like the app name here, and we're going to use our H1. And I'll say like, welcome.
Yeah. And Juris, if you like maybe scrub back a little bit to see how it's done, Sarah basically just used the pen tool and manipulated shapes. You can start with a square, you could start with a rectangle, however you'd want, but it's essentially just being able to manipulate that shape and then add points to it and kind of just stretch them around. It's just like a little blob. So I would recommend like just trying it out and seeing how that works for you. It's a really, really great, powerful tool. King of lemurs. Yeah, it's a really so far right now. Like Jacqueline, I agree. The background splash shape is already like kind of drawing your eye in, and it's a good way to frame that image. It's really cool. And we're about a third of the way through. Time is flying. So 55 minutes until we reach our design feedback. So if you have designs that you're working on with the Daily Creative Challenge, Peter walked you through interactions yesterday. So if you don't know about the Daily Creative Challenge, I highly recommend checking out the link at the top of your chat and check out what today's challenge is, working with component states. And so if you have projects that you worked on yesterday, get them into Discord, because we're going to be taking a look at those. So if you want your designs reviewed, Sarah and I are going to hold it down and look at some of your work you've been jamming on. So that's really cool. To always do give back to the community and provide energy to keep going and pushing your work.
Definitely. So, and then this one, all I did was use like the ellipse, made a circle, double tap to edit the points. And then similar to the pen tool, I just kind of like started like messing with it just to like add some dimension or something like that.
Yeah, round the corners, kind of give it like an organic shape, right?
Yeah. And let's do like...
There's a good discussion about like learning and like what does it take to learn, and there was a question actually like how do you get started in design as a freelancer, and that question was asked yesterday too, and it's a really popular question. Yeah, so if you have any insight on that.
Yeah, actually I'd love to like talk a little bit about that. So for me, I'll just recap a little bit about like my background. I come from a healthcare background, bachelor's in biology, was studying pharmacy for a bit. And I transitioned into like digital products, just, through, I guess you could say, chance, and just trying to find like, what my calling, I guess, was, and what like where my passions lied. And eventually what like I would end up doing was I tried different things, and then I did a boot camp to learn. I did a lot of self-teaching prior to that. And I'm going to stop for a second because I keep losing my train of thought. And I just kept researching. I used my curiosity and trying to find what I want. And eventually I did a boot camp. Once I graduated, I started doing contract roles. And from there, and I would still be applying for full-time roles, but like I realized that I really liked what I was doing from like a contract basis, jumping project to project. So I pursued freelance full-time. And how I would source even clients from that perspective would be a lot of the times it was just kind of like word of mouth. And Twitter, actually, just kind of like getting out there and like putting myself out there. Networking was a huge thing. Asking people if they had time to chat. At the time, obviously pre-pandemic, like I would take them out for coffee, get them a cup of coffee or something like that.
Right.
But making it intentional too, because like you also have to be careful, like this is somebody's time. So like if you're going to ask them, just be like, can I pick your brain? Like, don't say that. Like, just be like, I tell them that, show them that you've done your research, your part, who they are. Like either you've read their articles, you've watched videos they've created, you've seen something that they've done and that you really like love. Mention that. Just be like, I really love that you did X, Y, and Z. It's really similar to something that I'm looking and passionate about and pursuing for my career. I'd love to, chat with you for a little bit just to understand, what your journey was like. And if you have any advice, throw in a link to your portfolio, whether it's Behance, an actual URL, anything, so that they have something to actually look over and understand. And the individual can prepare to answer your questions and come with questions. Don't just sit there and be like, tell me all your secrets.
That's a great point. And the boot camp that you went to again, Paloma was asking that.
It was designation. They were acquired by Flatiron. So I would look up like Flatiron. I'm not sure how like similar the curriculums are or anything like that. But what I would say is do your research too, boot camp wise, because like that's something that I did. What type of learner are you? What do you need in order to succeed? Because sometimes you don't need even spend money to do a boot camp.
That's facts. Totally. And it is depending on the person.
Self-learn. Like there's so many resources. There's these Adobe Lives weekly. Like check them out. Do the creative challenge. It's all about doing and like showing your work as much as you can.
Yeah. I totally agree. And I'll kind of share my insight into like, what I did to get to where I'm at in terms of the design world. I was also in a career that was not design. I was in mortgage. I did mortgage finance for 10 years and absolutely did not like it. And realized that there was a whole nother world out there and that I had like a real deep passion for. And I tried doing it by myself. I tried doing the courses everywhere I could find them and nothing really stuck. So I actually just went to school. I went to an art school and, kind of had to bite the bullet and pay the money. But at the end of the day, for me, my learning style was that environment and it exposed me to a lot more ideas. And, the principles kind of bled into all my other projects I did. So that's my experience. Like there's the expensive route, the school route, there's the boot camp route. There's also just like using these free resources, like these creative challenges that are done every week. There's a new one. So there's really so many resources there. And then having us as facilitators on Adobe Live, so you can just pick our brains and see how we do things. So tons of different ways. And, the great thing about freelancing is you kind of work at your own pace and, you still do have to like find clients and work on things and find friends that might want their website redesigned and just do some experiments. And I think the best way for me to get like jobs and roles is you find a company that does something that you really like, and maybe you do an iteration that is making that better. And you're kind of exploring your own ways of making products better that you already enjoy. And then those companies see your work and then, maybe you get work that way. I think that definitely works. Yeah. Yeah. Voodoo Val, I remember having this conversation with you about like our backgrounds and how, we had this completely, she was a forensic anthropologist and now she's like a visual artist doing like killer work on Adobe. So like, there's really like, the path is really up to you to explore. I think that's like the great thing about the design world is we need non-designers to be designers, and right. And then when you're a designer, like maybe this isn't the last path of your journey in your career. Maybe you go into do something better for the world, because that's kind of like the goal is spread our knowledge into other aspects of the world.
Yeah. And I was going to say too, like, I would recommend, like, if you're like a career transitioner as well, like, don't let imposter syndrome get to you that like, oh, I'm not good enough because I didn't study design.
Right.
Because like that is very real. I feel that all the time still, like even coming on the show, like I was so nervous. Mm-hmm. Everyone feels that way. And it's important. Exactly. And it's important to kind of harness like your past and show how, because I think like everything has some sort of like design thinking involved to a certain extent and brings value to, what you create as a designer. Yep, totally. So.
Yeah. And if you follow that design thinking approach, and if all of you out there aren't familiar with like the buzzword, it is a buzzword, but it's more than a buzzword. It's really like just a mindset that you can carry on, is design thinking and thinking about like how you approach a problem, how you understand the problem, doing these processes in everyday things is kind of the idea here. Yeah. So that's kind of like Jacqueline, like I agree, like art school was great. But my student loans are not great. So yeah, there's that. Now this is already looking like that splash screen looks amazing, by the way. Just wanted to give you props on that. And in regards to like, there's a conversation in this about like tools like Adobe XD and Illustrator and how you do things in like copy and pasting from Adobe to Illustrator. Like, I think it brings up the conversation of tools. And as a designer, I think just kind of don't worry about the tool as much and just kind of use it. Just experiment with it. And if you have problems like conceptualizing ideas to create, I'd say just redo something that exists. Like if you're not really sure what to do, like recreate Instagram, you know, like just do it. Like you look at your screen, maybe take screenshots and just like redesign it. Like, you know, it's only for your own growth. And if you can mimic the buttons, if you can mimic the form fields, if you can mimic the interactions and the animations, you're one step ahead of most people, because that's not easy to do as much as it seems like it's really easy. So that was a big project for us. Like when I was in school, we had, you know, recreate experiences of things you like and just kind of, you know, jam on them. So if you're running out of ideas, yeah, that's a really good one. There's a lot of good patterns out there to look forward to, you know, kind of taking and pushing. Yeah, the mix of sans serif does, I agree, Jacqueline, looks really nice here. And oh, we got some little illustrations, little icons.
Yeah, so I pulled this icon off of like the Noun project. And I'm just like using it just to start creating like our tab bar at the bottom. So.
Voodoo Val, if you release any sci-fi work, I'm definitely reading. That's like my genre of choice. Sci-fi, cyborg, anything in that genre is my jam.
For sure.
Oh, we got Islam in the house from Egypt. We got Egypt here.
Oh, hey.
So if you're just joining us today, we were you know, asking if there's anybody from Egypt in the house. We got one.
Yay.
Sarah is here joining. We're both in California, and Sarah's creating a app that allows you to take care of your plants and maybe help them take care of you, right?
Yeah. Yeah, what was that stat you brought up yesterday about like NASA, like having how many plants per like square foot?
18 per 1,200 square feet. Like, do it. Just breathe easy. And oh, there's the icon for icons. Where do you normally go for when you look for icons to use?
Yeah, so like this one, I pulled it from like the Noun project, mainly because it's like, obviously like I pay for like the yearly license, so that like you also want to make sure that like you are paying other artists for their work, and not just like taking it. So I have a license with Noun project, so I will usually like pay like pull icons from that. They have like a cool, really like Mac application. You could, I know like Adobe Stock also has like icons and like different types of images that you could search to find, like for like vector art. That's how I actually got the what we're calling the logo of like this monstera leaf, was from Adobe Stock. And I was able just to get it as a Illustrator file. And then within Illustrator, I just like tweaked like the colors and everything, so I can pull it in as an SVG. So when I like start playing with it and scaling it, like I could do that without, you know, messing with the image too much.
Yeah. So the Noun project is very, very useful to like find, not if you're not just looking for icons to use for your designs, at least metaphors to help you inform what kind of icons you can create or find out there. I think I would recommend a plugin called Icons for You, Icons for Free. I think Icons for You. I'm not one of those. If you search icons in the plugin space in Adobe XD, there's a few different ones to choose from, and a lot of them are free and they're really easy to use, and you can just kind of drag and drop them into your designs. So I'd like to create usually my own icons, but usually using references from like the Noun project first to get the metaphors right, because sometimes you're doing custom icons that aren't just like the home, like a home button, but for a plant, it's different. So there's different ways you can.
Exactly. And speaking of creating, I'm actually about to do that right now using the like a conglomerate of icons. So I want to create, so we obviously have like our home. I want to create like one for like a libraries or like a search. So I'm going to use like your typical search magnifying glass, and I want to put like a little plant in there. So that's what I am doing right now. Trying to pull, and I can actually just, give me one, and then I'm gonna bring something into my screen here so that you all could see. So this is like the little noun project app that I use. So I just searched plant, and you have a plethora of options.
That's cool.
To use. So let's see, let's just like, I want to like pick like a random like plant thingy.
Yeah, I feel like the noun project should get on creating a plugin for XD, right? Like that needs to happen.
Yeah, because this is just like a Mac.
Yeah, it's a Mac app, right?
Yeah, and it's like really cool. So like for instance, if I can make a decision, there's like too many cool ones. I'll use this one. I just like right click, and then I can copy as an SVG and then just like paste it in here.
Nice.
So we could do like something like that if we wanted. And then because I want to keep the constraints here.
Yeah.
So, and again, like this isn't perfect, by the way, because like one thing that you'd want to keep, especially when it comes to iconography and why that like icon page that I had created is important, is like off the bat, I can already tell like these are like two different types of icons. So there's no consistency there. And that's important. Like you want to have consistency within it.
Right.
I'm just not doing that because like I just want to create this.
Yeah, we got 40 minutes to make an app, right?
Yeah. So like it's just something perfect. To like, yeah, it's like just something to like keep in mind.
Yeah, totally. I feel that. Like that's one of the things that I'm pretty nitpicky about is like line weight. And if you have like iconography, and sometimes there's like a fully filled icon next to like a line icon, like sometimes, especially when you're a new designer, like those kinds of things don't really click at first, which is interesting to me because like, I know when like you're using products and you're using apps, like you can recognize bad, like, or misused patterns or misused, but like when you do it yourself, for some reason, it doesn't feel the same. Like so like when you kind of keep practicing and you keep designing, you realize that there's, these principles of line weight and which icons to use. So those are just things that I think are some of the easiest ways to, make your design stand out. It's just cohesive, like be cohesive, use similarities, use these patterns that look the same. It's pretty nuanced, but you can definitely tell.
Yeah, like you could tell right here. I'm going to zoom into it because I think this is like super important. Like here you have like a rounded tip over here. It's a very flat square on this side. So this just has like more natural, and I would say this feels more on brand for what we're creating, and this doesn't. And even the way that this little plant, the way it looks, it's like very off as well. So is it nitpicky? Probably, but it makes a difference.
Sure.
A huge difference once you see it all put together, because those small things will pop out to you instantly because it's not consistent.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and Juris, and also Sarah Sanchez, thank you for your answers. That's a great question about, like seeing how the share function, or how to get CSS files or CSS statistics or data, CSS data essentially for developers is in the share tab. And that's something that we're not going to get into today, but it definitely is a great feature of XD. So if you have a file that's pretty much wrapped up and done, you're able to then like call out which files and which assets are going to be exportable for CSS. And all those are kind of things that any developer can go and copy that code and it's good. It's good to go. So lots of really cool functions with the share and sharing with developers feature. So thanks, Sarah. That's a really, really good call out. It's a really good feature too, when you're ready for that next level. I would say if you're still beginning with XD, maybe not need to worry about the share with developers right away, but definitely use the share to mock up prototypes for yourself or for others to test. Because that's a big part of it, is testing. And, I think especially Sarah would agree that, that's one of the things that we definitely, are continuing to do even in the middle of a pandemic, with not being able to test directly with people. We still need to test our products. And so having that prototype feature to share prototypes remotely and get people's responses is still very important.
And then for here, I'm just copying the same one just to finish this up.
Sure.
Let's see what else. What are some other areas you think are important for this app?
Yeah. What we have, the care, because it's going to be able to. Not sure.
Let's just do
Is it?
No, that's the same as search, I think.
Rooms. Is it room? Maybe rooms. Are you going to do?
Yeah, my plants.
My plants. My pants.
My pants. And I'll just say profile for now. Okay, so these are just going to be placeholder ones for. Why is it? Listen, this keyboard issue, I was searching why my keyboard was acting weird, and apparently this is a huge thing for some people, and I need to try this. I didn't want to do it before the show because in case it would ruin my computer.
For sure.
But apparently one of them is if you have a Wacom software or driver, it's been messing with some people's keyboards.
It conflicts.
Yeah. So that was a discovery that I need to hopefully figure out after the show. But
for sure. Nah, I mean, I think we get it. I think we're good.
Yeah, it's just annoying to me.
For sure. I can imagine.
I'm no.
For me, that would drive me bananas. I can't imagine.
All right. So let's build out the plant library screen, because I think that's a really easy, fast one that we can do.
Cool.
So we could just start with usually there's a little top bar here, and
oh yeah, and maybe that would be cool. The nursery for your plants would be kind of cool. That's a good idea, Voodoo.
So I'm gonna make a little card just because what I want to really show is the repeat grid thing, because I think it's such a cool aspect of XD, because it saves so much time. So
I love it too. I love cards. I love cards too. I need to sometimes stop using them because I love them so much. Yeah, and if anybody is just joining us, I'm here with Sarah Gear, and Sarah is a product designer in the Bay Area. Currently, we're both in California, so I'm in San Francisco, and you're in San Carlos?
San Carlos.
Right? San Carlos. Yeah. And we're not very far apart. Would love to know where you're joining us from, but right now we're on the second screen of a plant app that allows us to help our plants grow and help them take care of us at the same time. So if you have any questions for Sarah, please shoot them into the chat. If you're watching on YouTube, come over to Behance and join the conversation. We'd love to hear from you. So, and as a reminder, in 30 minutes, we're going to be reviewing any daily creative challenge work that has been submitted to Discord. So if you have work that's in the process, we love work in progress. So if you have any work that you just want some feedback on, get it into Discord, and we'll take a look at that and give some feedback. You know, a nice dosage of the compliment sandwich to help you carry your projects through and give you some inspiration as well. So, you know, definitely shoot some questions and get your designs in. So all that kind of good stuff is going to happen in 30 minutes. Martha is joining us from Michigan. I love Michigan. I've been there a few times when I was in Chicago. Really great place. Would love to know where everybody else is coming in from. We got a lot of people still here hanging out with us. Got the nice column grid going on for us to keep us in our boundaries. A very, very important thing to make sure your spacing is great. Keep that going.
Yeah, so I did like a 4-column grid. All I did was like from the artboard, there was like this right here module. You just click the check mark. And obviously since this is an iPhone, it was smart enough to know it was going to be like a 4-column grid. And then I just edited all of the info. So
yeah, totally. You always want a padding on the right. You don't
for like the margins.
Golden rule. At least something. At least 10 pixels minimum. I think like anything less than 10 pixels is kind of going to the edge too much.
Yeah. But like, and also like another thing like to keep in mind is that like from like an iPhone perspective, there's like safe areas that you want to keep into consideration because of like the edges, because they're not going to be like responsive. So that's why like these margins are extremely important for that.
Yep.
And I'm going to just make this where each card's going to be 2 columns wide. And then within the card, we can go ahead and between each the gutters for that, which is like this empty space, is going to be 16 pixels. And yeah, so I am actually going to turn off the grid because I don't need it anymore. I just wanted to make sure I'd have the right size for this card. And let's go grab a photo that we could use. This was the artist that I had gotten the logo from. Beautiful, beautiful artwork. Definitely should check them out. And let's see. Let's look for it. As you can see, I was already searching for plants and like monstera leaves and stuff. So let's grab a image of a plant.
Ooh.
There's so many options.
This is where I could spend hours.
Right?
and never find the right one. Like it's super picky.
I want to find one like a PNG so that we don't have to fuss with any like editing out the background.
Yeah. You don't want to have to take it into Photoshop and do all kinds of complex stuff, right?
Yeah.
Which, you know, opening up Photoshop every once in a while is still really, really important. And don't want to discourage Photoshop.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Like for instance, even the logo I used Illustrator for to make edits. Let's go with Monstera. Let's be more specific.
Yeah. I feel like that has become such an identifiable plant, right?
Yeah.
It's just, I think it's just the nature of its like unique leaf. Like it's very unique. Like people, and we asked this question earlier, and this is something that we're still looking for answers, is like, what is your favorite plant? Like, or if you were a plant, what kind of plant would you be? There you go.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah. I think I don't know what I am. I have to take some time because I still think I'm a succulent, but I think maybe an aloe, if I was to be specific. I think they're great. You know, they're resilient. They heal people. I'm not saying I'm a healer, but you know, I love the rubber plant though. Like just in general, like I actually just had to sell one of my babies because I'm moving. And
wait, like the ficus?
the
Oh God.
you don't like that one?
You know what? I have a love-hate relationship with ficus plants because they all die on me and I've given up. Like I've tried
Really?
3 different. I've tried the which one? What was it called? The fig leaf.
The fiddle fig, the fiddle fig.
Yeah, the fiddle fig.
Yeah, they're
And
very temperamental. They are.
that I think I had tried 2, both died. Then I tried its cousin, the Audrey, died.
Oh,
I currently
peace, Audrey.
have a what is it called? The burgundy one. And it's like it's alive. It's just not like growing.
So ficus, huh? That's you have a low ficus score.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's an old mortgage joke. Sorry, I can't get away from.
So I found this one. I picked it because the pink kind of like works. So we're just gonna go with it. And we'll just like put that card in here. We'll put. Okay, everyone said that they like the easy names, right? Like not the actual.
Yeah, like the friendly, the approachable nicknames.
Okay, so we'll do that.
And when you click into that plant, maybe you can get that scientific name, right?
Exactly. So. Oh, that's. Let's see.
Swiss cheese. I didn't know that was a nickname for Swiss cheese plant.
Yeah. Yes, it is. So
I had no idea.
We'll have that. Well, maybe we'll go. No, that's too big.
Yeah, you have your headings already, so you just kind of get to your character styles.
And then like we said, it's like this is when you start to notice like this isn't enough character styles because a body copy here is just not going to work. Or maybe like I basically need to make the body copy like smaller. Probably. Yeah. So the body actually might be a better like 12 header. Yeah. But let's go with like a bold. And like even this feels like a little much. Let's try 16. Okay, we'll go with that for now. So I'm trying to think.
What's your debate? What's your inner dialogue?
Yeah. So this is gonna be like let's call it like your library of plants. So and then this is where research would come into play. What are things that you want to see first? Because obviously once you click in, you're going to get a ton of more information. But what are some key things that might want to be shown like right on the front screen?
I think for me, like next time to water.
Okay.
Or like maybe you can represent that with an icon, or like you have a Behance tile, like what kind of like metric is like one like every like once weekly, or like in one day, like something like that maybe.
Okay, maybe we could do. It'll say like.
And while while you're doing your thing, I'm going to answer some questions in the chat. So we had, and Jura, sorry about like, the picking PNGs that have like, transparent backgrounds. I think that's something that you'll kind of find those right files that are set up for you. Sometimes some files look like they're PNGs and have empty white space, as you call them, but they're actually not. So just more like finding those images that are the right ones for you. And Rahi asked a question about adding GIFs. GIFs are not necessarily supported to import to XD, but you can create GIFs in XD. There's some great tutorials there for that. If you just kind of Google search, there's been some creative challenges, like I did one 2 weeks ago where my guest did some GIFs by chaining together a bunch of artboards and using auto animate and then just recycling them. So you can do that and then export them. So there are ways to create GIFs in XD, not necessarily load. You can add audio to your prototypes, so that's cool. And then German had a question, when you're starting to design in Adobe XD, do you start with mobile or desktop version first? I think it depends. I can't say definitively that you start one or the other. Each experience will tell you which one you should start with first. I think a lot of the trends are to go with mobile first. Mobile is, has very limited constraints in terms of size, so it can give you a great definition of what your product should be and how it should respond to a desktop version of the same design. That just depends on the project, right? You're not going to find a one-size-fits-all solution to mobile first or desktop first, because it depends. Like if you're working on a financial app, typically people do that type of work on a desktop. So you'd want to start with a desktop app and then kind of see what kind of experience would translate to a mobile experience. Because sometimes even that same experience isn't a one-to-one. Like you look at Behance and you look at how, when you're looking at it on a desktop, that experience is very different from when you're looking at it on an iPad, because the chat isn't going to be the same. So things like that. It just really depends on the project. So that's a really great question and something that designers still kind of struggle with. And I think it's okay though, because we're still learning and growing. Ayub, thank you for being here. Hi. We are using XD to design a plant app for a mobile environment. Right now it's an iOS, but as you know, all kinds of templates here. You can have Android, you can have iPad, whatever template you want for your artboard. So it's a plant car app. There should be plant car apps though. I feel like there should be more cars with plants on them or in them. Just HVAC, like in my car, just mad monsteras, just into my bucket seats with my Plantasia. That this is where we're going. Oh, look at that. We got icons. We got, I already know that means water in 3 days or every 3 days. 3 days.
Let's do in 3 days.
Yeah. Sure.
So went ahead and made this. I'm not entirely sold on it.
Yeah, we can leave it.
Yeah. So I'm gonna explain a little bit my thought process and why I'm not entirely sold on this either. So for instance, the reason I added this background is just because it felt like it was just floating in the middle of nowhere. It felt like it needed a little bit more of constraints. But then because of the curves, which I could, instead I can do.
Yeah, take that one dot, the little.
Yeah.
I think if you touch that dot and then hold Option.
Oh.
The inner dot though, that one.
This one.
Yeah. And hold Option. Okay. Oh, not Option.
Wait, what?
Maybe it's not Option. I always forget. It's Control or Option.
Isn't there a way to? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was a ghost glitch.
Yeah.
Or you know what? I know what to do. rectangle. Okay, no, I don't need to edit in Photoshop.
Can we just use an existing template to make something completely new is a question. Totally. Like that's what UI kits are great for. I think if you're kind of blanking on like where to start on a design, like find a great UI kit. If you go to letsxd.com, something that is widely available for everybody here, I recommend you going to letsxd.com. There are some UI kits there that you can use and then modify to your heart's content. But if you just do a Google search, Adobe XD UI kits, you'll find a bunch. So there's a lot of people that just kind of take it upon themselves to provide fodder for your ideas, and UI kits are going to be a great resource for you if you just do a Google search for them. Because there's nothing wrong with tweaking other people's work, and that's what if you work for any company that's a product design company, a lot of times you're just going to be doing reiterations of other people's designs, which is essentially the same thing. Howard Pinsky, yep, the architect.
There it is. Okay.
The architect, the booper of letsxd.com. Definitely the holding it down at for lots of people. Like I learned Photoshop from Howard Pinsky.
So where I was stuck was like I was trying to figure out how to fix it where it was like each corner. So it was literally just this toggle where I just selected the multiple one and I did the bottom two corners to be 0 instead to like solve the problem of like why I didn't like it. And there we go.
Cool.
We have this like card. Coloring still is a little harsh here to me between like the two whites. So we can like play with some other ones. Or we'll do this instead. Maybe it's just like a border thing.
Yeah, and we have 13 minutes until we reach the daily creative challenge review. And take your time, do your thing. We're still vibing and chilling, hanging out with these folks. Any other questions you got, please shoot them my way and our way. Thank you, Voodoo Val, for sharing that link to the architect of Boops, letsxd.com. Howard Pinsky put together a really great resource page for you. I think the interaction design skills that he has are very great. So there's some really good resources there for you. Definitely check that out.
So
yeah.
What I'm going to do really quick here is I have like the two cards. Obviously like everything needs a lot of tweaking, but what we'll do is we'll have both of these selected. We go repeat grid and then
ooh, boom, boop.
Yep, boop. You got yourself, that. And what I'll do is I'm going to put this behind so that there's that affordance of like, this should be like a continuous scroll. And yeah, so you'll have just like your whole list of, plants that you might have here. And each one would change. And then, so yeah.
Cool. And what's the title on this one?
Yes, let's do that. I think somebody mentioned like the nursery, and I kind of like that, like my nursery.
Yeah, I think that's really great. That's credit to Voodoo Val for that one. Ayub asks, how to be a famous designer and how can I work with Adobe? I'm trying to figure that same thing out.
Yeah.
No, but to just kind of like fame and being a designer, there are designers that are well known. I think for me, like if I think of Adobe and like who is like my kind of like idol is like someone like Koi Vin. If you haven't heard of Koi Vin, I highly recommend you looking into him because he's awesome. And he's also got a great podcast called Wireframe. And if you are interested in just kind of hearing how designers think, that podcast is really great. So highly recommend Wireframe. Koi Vin is one dude that I think most people would really be impressed by his just repertoire and resume. So look into him. And other than that, like, you know, just I think being creatively confident, like that's really what will make you known. I don't know about famous. You know, that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Fame is a lot of pressure. I ain't trying to be famous. You know,
Yeah, and I would say just like keep practicing and just like be you.
yeah, right.
Honestly, because
Stay
it's
genuine.
like, and yeah, as long as like you're putting your work out there and engaging with the community,
Yeah,
yeah,
you
I
have
wouldn't say it's like famous. It's just kind of like you get your name out there. That's
you
how
have
like
to
you build
do
your brand.
you do, yeah, and you have to do a lot of work before you get to that point where other designers recognize you as like a great designer. Um, artists as well, like, right, and this kind of brings up the conversation is like art or design and what's the difference between an artist and a designer. They're very similar, but they are also very different. And you know, our work a lot of times, like the best designs you never really notice because they work well. And so sometimes the people that design those experiences actually don't get the credit because people don't realize that there's a great design in front of them. So that's just my piece on, you know, and working for XD, like, hey, do creative challenges every 2 weeks. And like my, you know, anybody that could tell you that they've excelled through the creative, if you've done the creative challenge, people have gotten jobs at really great companies because of creative challenges. I actually, you know, worked at Adobe for a while too, and that's how I found Adobe Live. So, and I did a lot of creative challenges. So that's just my piece. I think it's a really great question, and I think the takeaway from it is just make sure you're enjoying it, because if you don't enjoy the grind of a designer, it can really weigh on you, because it is not the most simple thing, because we solve complex problems. As far as UX design, like this is a UX experience designer kind of thing. If you're doing graphic design work or doing visual design work, strictly visual design, like that's a different story. And I think that is also something that you can find a great path to, and you know, acquire respect in the field. Yeah. So that's my 2 cents. Yeah, I think it is. Elizabeth agrees. Creative confidence. Yeah, I mean, don't be scared to you know, make mistakes. That's the big one, right? And embrace being uncomfortable. Like,
Yes.
like Sarah, you know very well, right? You were like, I'm hella nervous to do this.
Yeah.
You did it. You're doing it, and like that's just like the name of the game. Just like try to you know, be accepting of being vulnerable. That's it. So we got 6 minutes roughly until our daily creative challenge review. So if you have designs that you've been, you know, like putting some like touches on and like making nice and fancy from the interactions yesterday, would love to see what you've been doing in the Discord channel. So we're going to be taking a look at that in a few. So definitely take part in that part if you have some work that you want to share, because we're going to be looking at that soon. Yeah, practice XD. Good. Yeah, and Kanjan, very good advice. Just kind of practice using the this is a guide. Stick to minimal design. Yeah, I agree. Be minimal. When I was first designing screens and all that kind of stuff, I did everything minimal. That was just my aesthetic because I didn't have one. And then you kind of get better and you grow as you get comfortable with tools. Because I think tools like XD and all the other ones out there, they're the biggest blocker to success for some people, where if you kind of just let your freedom, with your creations fly, that's what you got to just kind of push through. Meanwhile, this app is looking like the real deal. And this is like, I would say like a high fidelity mock-up at this point, right? Because we kind of skipped the wireframe phase and went straight to sketching in this way and with color, because we've already defined the color. So if you are just joining later in the show, so this is day 2, Sarah created a whole systematized like color palette, font system, had her different 2 types of fonts and weights for this experience to then like kind of plug in and start using. So this is now an evolution of all those patterns kind of piecing together. So with a lot of visual, pizzazz, if you will. It's coming together really, really nicely. Got some other questions here from Shannon. Yeah, no, practice and create every day. Yeah, and if it's not in design, like do something creative in the kitchen, something like that. Like, because it all, like, it's organization. It's still kind of in that same spirit. Yeah, and anyone can do creative challenges, and that's the great part about the creative challenge. It's not a competition. It's a celebration of just like collaboration and people like supporting each other, and it's really about the community and feedback. So we're going to be taking a look over there soon. Still got some time though. The Monty. So you can name your plants, because everyone names their plants, or should, and then maybe not everyone does. I name all my plants. So I had a fiddle fig that did pretty well, and it grew pretty big, and you couldn't move it though. Like if I moved her, she got really upset, and she was very finicky. When I did a move with her, she was just not vibing with it. So I had to like find a good spot for her. And so yeah, and Shannon, you're doing the XD awesome. Peter's amazing too. You guys, the greatest person right there with you.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay, cool.
Cool. I was just kind of rambling while
Yeah, I don't know what happened. The audio went off on my end, so sorry.
Hey,
if I looked like a deer in headlights, that's what I was trying to figure out.
Yeah, good. Good.
So what I was creating here is like, if we were to click into our Swiss cheese plant, we can name our plants. Who doesn't? We'll name our Swiss cheese plant Monty because it's in Monstera. So, maybe we can add their name up here where we'd be able to edit later. I was trying to play with like those shapes again to include like maybe the photo that person might upload. So yeah, and then like you could add so much more info, maybe even make it a like slider where we could slide into, like what those data points that we were talking about earlier for, let's say, like daylight, for instance. So I'll quickly, within like the last minute that I have, like maybe show you. So we can do like maybe a bar graph or something. So just like rectangles here. It's like one like data visualization point like you could create and just like put it together. Julian mentioned like UI kits that we could use to pull some stuff as well. So like a good one actually that I could show is like if you go to file for your XD and like get UI kits, there's like this wireframe one from like XD that you can totally get and download.
Yeah, and we're gonna, come back to what you're working on. You can hear me, right?
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna come back to what you're working on. We got the Daily Creative Challenge review session that we're gonna be looking into. So let's go ahead and hop in on that and see what we got. So if you haven't taken part in the Daily Creative Challenges, we have our Creative Challenge page on Behance, behance.net/challenge/let's XD, /XD. And are we able to see what I got on my screen? All right. So the Daily Creative Challenge has all these cool little, tiles that you're able to then browse through and take part in. And so this is like the great part about this community is like just challenging you with features that are just really crucial to like you growing as a designer. And so today we have component states, but yesterday there was interactions. So our interactions are going to be hopefully what we're going to be reviewing. And that's where we're going to jump into Discord. And so if you haven't checked out Discord or if you haven't done a challenge, this is part of like the great experience that you're able to take part in is this community and how much they support each other. So we're going to be in XD. As long as you're a part of this, you're able to then go to current challenges, and this is where we're looking. So let's see what we got here. We got day 28, day 20. Let's see, movie app, auto animate. Let's take a look at this. Oh, this is a rebound. So this is some screen design. What do you think about something like this here for a task app?
That looks really good.
Right? I think like, I also really appreciate like, just like how clean it looks, right? Really great form fields there, great, like the great cards, like the iconography, so great stuff there. We got some other ones that have some interactions here. Let's take a look at this. Look at that. Let's take a look at that again. It's quick.
Yeah.
And a lot of these are quick, right? Like that's the whole point of these is to be like kind of quick interactions, quick, concise. So what do you think? So feedback wise?
Yeah. I definitely feel like it has like that familiar interaction. So like the whole like swiping to reveal more actions that you can do, especially I know like on iPhone, like that's something that a lot of people are used to. So I think like if you can harness stuff that individuals are used to doing, especially when it comes to interactions like that, that's like super, super important so that you don't have the user like trying to guess, like, what am I supposed to do to make something occur?
Yeah, totally. No, and I actually think there's a lot going on here interaction wise, right? Like we have every day that, or every task is kind of cycling through. I think the smart thing about like these kind of schedule buttons are great. And then you kind of have new items popping in, and just a really, really smart way to kind of draw familiarity and in an app like this. Like I think we are very familiar. So it looks really, really great. Yeah, good work. That was from Annie Ann. So yeah, keep those coming. That's really, really cool. Can't wait to see more from you. So this is another to-do app. Let's take a look. A little different aesthetic, similar idea. Nice. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like that. Let's see, we got some more here. Thank you, Rao. That's really, really great stuff. We're just gonna kind of go up here and see what we got. So we got a Behance gallery we can take a look at. Quizzes, fun app for kids. This is super cute. Look at that.
Yeah.
Love
I like
those.
the pops of color, especially like with kids. It's like, you know, they are visual. So if you can like grab their attention with like those types of colors and then like the illustrations, I think that's great.
Super cute. I love it. Good choice on the Chrome or the iPhone, kind of really put it in context. Looks really cool. Oh, look at that.
I love how you did the colors.
Yeah.
This is so creative.
I love it. Poppins, that's a very, very XD Howard Pinsky font right there. the cards, really cute cards, really great way to like kind of bring in the familiarity of emoji, but not actually bringing in the emoji, which is cool. Loving the process, loving the wireframes. This is a very good project. I don't have any critique. I feel like the vibe is so friendly and so accessible. Ooh, we got a little there. And you know, today with like all the kids and you know not being able to go to school, so giving them new things to keep them occupied in a very, very productive way, it's very important. Like I would like this for my kid. Like I'm always trying to find good mobile games and apps, and sometimes they just don't work out. This one looks really cool.
Oh, I think like, oh, that's a cute loading screen. I would say that like some like really good opportunities here are in the beginning, those bigger cards, like it could be a really cool interaction for it to flip. Just so it feels almost like tactile for like the child. That's really good. I think also like once it gets to that part, like here for like the friends, maybe even making those boxes a little bigger because they are kids. Like I think the cards were like a nice size, and then those are ones that could probably use a little bit more width. So that like the kid doesn't like accidentally hit two at the same time or anything like that.
Yeah, but overall, like really, really solid.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. It's a lot really fun and playful, uses like illustrations really well. So yeah.
Thank you, Marina. Very, very, very great stuff there. All right, we got some time for some more. Let's take a look at what we got here. This is a shot, so no interactions here, but I think visually it looks great. It more looks kind of like a wireframe. And I'm not sure why I feel like maybe the edges for me, I don't know, it looks great, but some of those kind of more, maybe a little bit more color. One more color in there would be probably right. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's because of the phone itself. It looks like that's why it looks more wireframey. But overall, like it's very clean. I like the way that it's presented with like the dots on the side and like the two bars as well.
Font choices, great font choices there too. Let's take a look at this one. Stacks. This is they're doing the stacks. So yeah, and if you are looking to explore new ways of using XD, this is what the challenges are supposed to do here. Is they're supposed to give you the fuel to be able to like kind of use these ways of working, using stacks to kind of just automate your workflow and make things a little easier to use. I think my piece of feedback here, great work on like the color choices. I think the contrast is great. What do you think about these here?
Yeah, so I think they look like they've been stretched unproportionally. So just maybe like it doesn't have to take the full width of the card element here. It could still be smaller as well. Also like the spacing for like grocery shopping. Like I'm not sure if it's supposed to be like to the top left if it's to show that if there's supposed to be affordance for like items. Right. So I'm wondering like what the thought process was there.
Yeah.
But I am wondering because I think somebody was asking about like the dragging and dropping. I feel like this might be what they were talking about. So This could be a good example for what they needed.
Good memory. Yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah. That's definitely like the dragging interaction tool. That this is like using stacks to easily sort through your content. I think my other little tiny nitpick is like the completed icon. Sometimes check marks outside of the circle. If this one, I would just like use the simple line check mark. But great work. Keep pushing that. And I can't wait to see what that kind of full experience kind of looks like. We got here. We'll look at a couple more and then we'll get back to the work that Sarah's been working on. So this is another, looks like a to-do. That's cool. So this is the drag, definitely like a good example of the drag interaction. What are your initial thoughts on this one? Replay it.
Yeah, I like that whole drag interaction. I would say some things that like stand out are just kind of like the readability. I'm unsure if that gray against that light lavender would pass any accessibility tests. So it's always a good idea to check that. Just, use plugins. Stark's a great one that you can use. And also I feel like that 10:30 a.m., the purple nib design meeting could be a really great way to show, instead of showing the full content, maybe showing like the ellipses so that it shows like that somebody can dive in more. Because if this is on a mobile, it's pretty small to, put in everything that's needed for it.
So like truncating the sentence, the paragraph, and that way they can click into it and read more about it. Otherwise, like I think as far as like the interactions, really great interactions there. The organization of content is good. It's clear that what's happening here is what we're trying to interact with. Also, the icon work, really solid icon work. Everything is very uniform, right? Good stuff. All right, let's take a look at one more, and then we'll get back into Sarah's work. This one. Let's see, there's another. Let's see if there's a different one. This one is XD sounds. All right, I don't know if I have the speaker ability for that. Let's take a look at this one. Some more stacks. Oh, this one's big. What happened there? There it goes. Let's go. That would have been cool if the rocket went up, right?
Yeah.
I was expecting that. It's all good. All right. So what's your first instincts on this one?
Yeah, I think like from an interaction standpoint, it's pretty good. Especially, the hovering for all of the, there's more.
Plans for today, so you can hold and speak your plans. Cool. I like the concept.
That's a really cool. Yeah.
Right. And you were alluding to like a hover interaction, which, right.
On mobile, like for the little stars.
On mobile, maybe not necessarily something that we could do. Right?
Yeah.
Just
exactly.
On mobile, hovering is not something that is supported, but it does have that state. You can still build for it. So that's what I got for mine. If you want to pull back your screen, Sarah, we can kind of jump back into what you're working on and then go from there.
Yeah.
Some good stuff here, though. And if you're just seeing the Discord channel for the first time, that this is it. Like there's so many, like you saw the feedback channels there. There's other past challenges. Howard does these 5-minute challenges, which are great. So tons of really cool stuff that you could work with.
Cool. So the last thing I was like talking about, because we were talking about like, is there a way like to quickly create stuff versus like what I was doing, creating it from scratch. Looking up like UI kits that individuals might have created. XD has this one for like a wireframe perspective that has some cool data viz charts that we can pull. So you can just like hit download, pull it in, and then you'd be able to grab some stuff from it that are like super, super helpful. So here's the one that they have. We can maybe like pull some charts from here.
Yeah, those are good.
Like this one's like a good one that we can maybe like use to tweak to show maybe, let's see, I'll just delete that. Here.
Oh, the chat is cracking me up today. Sorry, I was not paying attention to the chat while we were doing our design review, but yeah, someone deleted a friend like that. It's funny. Yeah, the designs came out really good, right? Like the kids app is so cute. Like
that one was really, really cute.
We got more people in the joining. I'm sure Getting ready for Peter's creative challenge. We got Cornelian, we got SOS in the building. Designing e-learning systems would be really great. Yeah, maybe that could be a challenge that somebody tries to do, is an e-learning system. I think we can all use some more virtual learning tools out there. You know, like we got Coursera, you got all those kinds of cool tools. So yeah, and what Sarah was able to kind of show you and point out is finding UI kits in the wild. Use them. That's what they're there for. People create them for that purpose, and they appreciate your downloads because they track those, and that's a really great way to let them know that they're doing good work, is by using their kits. That's what they're for. They're there to inspire you and use as like mock-up shortcuts.
Yeah. So like this is a cool one. They have like let's just pull this mauve in there.
Mauve. Yeah, just modify everything to match your system. And if you are just joining us, getting ready for XD Creative Challenge with Peter, we're joined by Sarah. Sarah Gear is a product designer in San Carlos. I'm in San Francisco, so we're both in California. We are designing, actually, I wouldn't say we. This is more like, this is all Sarah. I'm just kind of just hanging out with you, doing my thing. But yeah, we're designing a plant caring app. So being able to help your plants grow. And I think this is something personal to a lot of people, especially during these times. We're trying to keep the vibe alive in our house and staying very, very serene and making sure there's no, failures in our house with our plants. Cause, you don't want to be all sad and then have a plant die on you. Like, that's not cool. Especially if you're home all day. It's like, what did I do? I'm right here. Yeah. Keeping the vibes. With the color palette looking good, right? I agree. Like this kind of the theme of the beginning was like this mood board that was kind of boho chic, kind of minimal, abstract kind of vibe is very, very present with the color palette and the font choices. So definitely coming through there. We got a few more. We got about 8 more minutes till we wrap, so we got still some time there.
Yeah. So like here's like an example, quickly just edit it to match like what we're doing. Just it was a straight up able to just like drag and drop. And yeah, you just can do something like that. Maybe we can do some sort of like effect to where like it's like a card to like go through the different metrics type of thing, as well as like another idea, and like you could easily create an interaction of like swiping over to it. And okay, let's pick a name for this. How about that?
Yeah. Okay, so folks in the chat, we need your support. So what is your first instinct for your app?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
We'll come back to you last then.
Or you can let's just choose. Do that.
All right. So we had Flora. We had.
What's the name of my wedding venue in San Diego?
Oh well, hey. I mean, I don't know if it sounds like a good signal. So what about Plantasia? No, that didn't catch you in the initial. So what other names we got? We got I'm drawing a blank. Chlorophyll.
Okay.
Chlorophyll.
Super scientific.
Yeah. What else, you guys? What do you got? I need to bring the stream back from yesterday because that's where all the names were. I forgot to take notes on all of them. I think honestly, I like Flora.
Okay, we can name it Flora then.
And feel like it's kind of personal to you, right? Like that's the venue of your wedding. Like congrats, congrats on the wedding.
There we go. Look, it has a name. We can just add it right here.
Nursery.
Oh wait, no, somebody called it like Clean Leaf too, right?
Clean Leaf, yeah, Clean Leaf. Mota Flora. We got Nursery, Plant Care. Yeah, got some good ones. I know Voodoo Val's got some. Voodoo Val's got she got a lot of names. We need some more names here. Oh, I missed this comment from earlier. Maybe add a plant birthday. That is a fantastic feature.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Right. What would you get? What would you get your plants for their birthday? Huh?
Ooh.
I don't know. Like a little bow?
A bigger pot.
A bigger pot. There you go. A new home. Yeah.
Because you have to repot them, like every year. So I think that's perfect.
Wait, you have to repot your plants every year?
Well, yeah, you want them because they're going to be growing. So, and also the nutrients in your soil.
Topsoil.
You have to replenish that.
Clean green. So, we got Seedler. That was the one from yesterday.
Yes,
that was good. Plant Platura. I don't know. I read it like that. I just felt like it. All right. Okay. Clean Leaf. We got branding.
Yeah. There we go. We'll just call it Clean Leaf.
All right. So how about we do a recap of what we've done for the last 4 minutes, and then we say bye to everybody. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do that. So I showed, the cleanup of what we had for like the base of the style guide and the buttons, created one form field. Then we jumped into creating a few screens just as a way of like start, getting the creative juices going. So we have like the welcome screen, taking from our mood board and kind of using some of the colors around there, showing, the repeat grid with this like my nursery page and like the different cards, and then kind of going even deeper into, like what the plant page could look like, and showing, ways to do the different like metrics that you might be tracking for your plant, for instance, like temperature, and how, you could always utilize UI kits to kind of help speed up the process and kind of guide you in learning ways that you can create different data visualizations.
Right. Looks great. I think, right. There's some, and as far as like this project, we obviously like, it's not like a finished product. We're not like ready to, ship this to developer. There's still a few, I'm sure a few screen states that you would need to kind of evolve. Is this a project that you think you're going to keep pushing and maybe we could see it on a Behance one day?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. This was a lot of fun. I think it like kind of goes with anything, with, my love for plants. So hopefully I can, finish this up, post it, and maybe even like make a small like kit so that everyone can see and be able to download it.
That'd be awesome. And if anybody has any questions, you want to bring back up your initial slide with the your contact information and how people might find you.
So my handle is just at @SarahGear_. You could find me on all my socials that way. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any other questions outside of this. I'd be happy, to chat if anybody needs some advice.
Right. Well, that's our 2-day live stream, XD, doing great things with plants and showing love on how to take care of your plants and learning all these new things about Sarah. Any last piece of advice for these new designers out here?
Yeah, just, keep going and keep trying. Like, as you saw, it's all like a living process. You're constantly, iterating and growing as a designer and, your designs as well. So
yeah, I
ask
totally
questions.
Agree. So. Don't stop asking questions. Don't stop making yourself, challenging yourself. Don't stop making mistakes, all the good things. Thank you, everybody that was in the chat. We really do appreciate your time and staying with us this whole time, these past 2 days. Please stay tuned for the Daily Creative Challenge with Peter Del Tondo. Going to do some amazing stuff with pushing your, yesterday we had interactions, today we have component states. So if you want to like push your skills in the component states world, that's what you want to do and create some cool stuff with him. Thank you everybody for being here. Thank you, Sarah. It was really great hanging out with you.
Yeah, thank you, Julian, and everyone as well for tuning in for the last 2 days. We appreciate it.
All right. Signing out. Bye, everybody. Have a good one.
Bye.